The icons that you see on the screen right now are going to help us in the explanation of a biogeochemical cycle in the Earth's environment called the carbon cycle. As you see over here, we have two molecules that we're very familiar with and we've heard a lot about, and these represent carbon dioxide. Well, within each of these molecules is a carbon atom. And so when we talk about the carbon cycle, we're actually looking at how that atom of carbon moves from living organisms to non-living organisms. And in that sense, carbon is a biogeochemical cycle. Biogeochemical cycle. There are other examples of biogeochemical cycles out there. One you might be really familiar with, since it's the water cycle, and as a result we get rain. There's also a phosphorus cycle and a nitrogen cycle. And when we talk about the biogeochemical cycle, as we indicated before, it's just the cycling of matter. And as we learned earlier in the course, matter is anything that has mass and volume. So it's just stuff that takes up space. Well, that matter moves from living components, which we know as biotic components, to abiotic, which are the non-living components within an ecosystem. So one thing that happens with carbon is we actually get a collection of it in the Earth's crust or under the Earth's surface. And the way that happens is you get our living components or our biotic components like a tree or a cow, and especially things that are living in the ocean or make their way into large bodies of water. They actually break down and sink to the bottom of water where there'll be proper heat and pressure. And as a result, that carbon, we end up with these large carbon stores. And from that, what we can do is create oil, or say gasoline. And with oil and gasoline, up until the point we burn it, that carbon's actually tied up in an abiotic component. Well, as soon as we burn that carbon, oil, and gasoline from our stores, we're releasing carbon dioxide into our atmosphere, and in large amounts. And so that carbon that's been tied up for millions of years is all of a sudden being pumped out into the atmosphere. Cows, through human activity, are also pumping that carbon dioxide out into the atmosphere. And we'll show the carbon, the oil, and the gasoline. They actually are burnt in industry, they're burnt in cars, and as a result we get carbon dioxide being pumped out. And as you might have heard this already, but when we put carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, what it actually does is it holds in the Earth's energy more than it normally would be held in. And as a result, it causes our Earth's environment to heat up, and we end up with what we call global warming. So let's get our arrow here. We've lost our pen. Okay, so let's get that arrow from the industry up to the carbon dioxide. Okay, so we have all these human activities that are producing all kinds of carbon dioxide. Now, you know that carbon dioxide is also a product of combustion. So when you make a campfire, you're releasing carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. When a forest is burning, carbon dioxide is being released into the atmosphere. What removes that carbon dioxide from the atmosphere are our trees, are the phytoplankton that you find in the lakes and the oceans. And so there we have all kinds of activity producing carbon dioxide, which in increasing amounts in the atmosphere are holding in the sun's energy and causing global warming. And you have really only the organisms undergoing photosynthesis here that are using up the carbon dioxide through photosynthesis. And there's our carbon cycle.